Hello. My name is Olivier Wagner. I have been preparing tax returns for Americans living overseas since 2012, and I have a lot of experience with those who want to renounce U.S. citizenship. Today I will discuss the process of renouncing U.S. citizenship in Azerbaijan. By way of background, losing U.S. citizenship has to be done voluntarily. It used to be that the U.S. had a strong view against dual citizenship. A few decades ago, the assumption was that if you acquired another citizenship, you did so with the intent of giving up your U.S. citizenship. Now, the burden of proof has almost completely reversed, and if you acquire another citizenship, you need to convince them that you did so with the intent of giving up your U.S. citizenship. That's called a relinquishment. If you can do that, you will get a certificate of nationality backdated to the day you perform that expatriating act. Whether you go for a relinquishment, which is what I just discussed, or whether you give up your U.S. citizenship as of the day of the appointment of the consulate, which would be called a renunciation, there used to be a two-appointment process. The first one, during which the consulate will inform you of the consequences of renouncing U.S. citizenship, and the second one where you would actually renounce U.S. citizenship. The U.S. consulate in Baku, Azerbaijan, still follows that format. They modified it slightly, in that the first appointment takes place remotely via phone call. And that makes complete sense, given the fact that most applicants will come from a different part of the world. The second interview, during which the actual renunciation will take place, will be an in-person appointment in Baku, Azerbaijan. If you viewed my previous video on renouncing in Canada, you will have noticed the long wait time, which would cause hardship to those who need to renounce before a real estate transaction, for instance. The downside, of course, is that it is geographically remote, which is somewhat elevated by the fact that only the second interview takes place in person. The U.S. consulate in Azerbaijan doesn't have a dedicated email for renunciations. You would contact them using the general phone number or email as seen on this screen. Most U.S. consulates were closed from March 2020 to August 2020. They then had to reschedule appointments originally scheduled for that time before accepting new renunciation appointments. Most consulates would have a 6-month wait time. In Baku, Azerbaijan, one can complete the renunciation process in about 3 weeks. Baku, Azerbaijan becomes your consulate of choice if time is of the essence, such as before completing a transaction such as a sale of real estate, which would be subject to U.S. tax if the taxpayer was still a U.S. citizen at the time of the transaction. You would file Form 8850 for the year after you renounce. If you are a covered expatriate, you would be subject to the exit tax. If you are not a covered expatriate, you would still have to file Form 8854 with your final tax return, but you would not be subject to the exit tax. The most common way to become a covered expatriate is if you have a net wealth of more than $2 million. You would also be a covered expatriate if you fail to file 5 years of tax returns. There is a dual citizenship exception. Those who qualify only need to file the 5 years of tax returns. They do not need to comply with the first 2 conditions. The dual citizenship exception applies to people who are born with U.S. citizenship and a foreign citizenship. For instance, somebody born in the U.S. might have dual citizenship, U.S. citizenship because they were born in the U.S., and Canadian citizenship from their parents. They continue to be taxed as a resident of the other country. Have spent less than 10 out of the past 15 years in the U.S. Feel free to email me with any questions and I'll be happy to get back to you. Thank you. If you have further questions, feel free to contact me at the email on the screen. You can also use the contact form found on my website at 1040abroad.com.